What's up everyone, welcome to another video, hopefully exciting video. We're gonna work on this on our 2001 Ford F-150 4.2 liter. We were looking at codes, trying to figure out why we keep getting misfires and stuff like that. And so now we found in a clip where we had a air leak on the intake gasket. And so now we're gonna replace that gasket and make sure that we put in the gasket properly and show you the process of how, what to do, what not to do. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. And also thanks to our camera guy, Oscar G, always helping out, and hope you enjoy. All right, so in order for us to remove the intake gasket on this, all this will be removed. So all this, like the plenum, all the air intake and so forth, you can see that part in our previous videos, like in the one where we remove the control runner, and some other previous videos that we have. They'll show you how to remove the process of how to uninstall this. So since we're gonna have to remove water for this case, obviously you remove your cap to release the pressure, and just to be safe, you don't necessarily need to. We're gonna remove the battery from the negative connection, and that'll be it. All right, so we're gonna drain the coolant. You're gonna need at least a pan. You might need a bigger one than this. A 3/16 wrench to untighten the peacock, and then a little hose so you won't be spilling everywhere. It has a little drainage inside. We're gonna try to show you in a little bit, but just to get you an idea, you have like a little drainage, just like literally facing that way, so stick it in there. All right, so here we have the, hopefully you can see the peacock. It's right here. Obviously gonna be on your passenger side of the vehicle. So it'll be, obviously you could just, if you're not too familiar with it, you could just, try to look at the radiator. And it's normally passing this part of the chassis upwards. So it's literally like, if you look towards the chassis, it's literally on top of this. As you can see with my finger, this here, and here we have the little drainage. I'm gonna stick this here. In case you're wondering, I think that the diameter of the hose will be like a little bigger, half an inch. Like as you can see, the little peacock nut. You don't have to remove it completely, just enough to where you'll start seeing the water coming out on your end. And also you might see on the, not exactly on the drains, but also where you're loosening up the peacock, it might also start draining a little bit by drops in there. So watch out for that and don't let it catch your eye. And so here we go. That's all the water we have now. All right, so we have removed the 4 screws from the fuel rails. They're 8mm. Once you remove them, this is basically removable. Right now we're gonna try to see if we could remove the intake without having to remove the fuel rails, but there might be a need that we have to remove. So first we're gonna start removing this hose, this hose as well, and this hose that touches the thermostat, and this little hose here. They're gonna have to be removed. So make sure that your I guess your coolant has finished draining. If not, you might wait, or if you don't want to wait, you could just go for it, but you might have some spills, so we're gonna do that now. So as you can see, on most, if you haven't replaced these, your most original ones, you're gonna have they're gonna be clipped on, so you're gonna have to use pliers or something like that. I changed all of them to screws because just makes it way easier to remove. But most, if I'm not mistaken, most of yours will be still the little clips. You're gonna have to use pliers. So just like I told you, move this one, and this one here, and that's it. So this is one of the hoses removed. This one was from here. As you can see, it was removed. The one from the thermostat as well was removed, and this little one here, which is this one, was removed. And so normally you should, or it's probably easier for you to remove the fuel rails from the these ends here. We didn't do it. I guess you could say maybe we were being a little lazy or something, but we went to play around, like move around through the cabling, because this side normally is all completely loose. So we can do it this way, but in case y'all do want to remove it, these are the tools you'll use. The big one we used, if I'm not mistaken, one of these two, the little ones, and that's the part number. In case you want to remove the fuel rails, you don't need to, but it's up to you. And now we're free to remove the intake, and it has about, don't quote me on it, but it's about 13 screws. So it's one here, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Like about 13 to 14 screws, and they're 8mm. And once you remove all those screws, and and don't forget to disconnect this right here, the control runner button. And then it has like a little clip there. Remove it, and you should be set to remove everything. All right, so we have a total of 8 screws. As you can see here, these little ones, these goes mostly on the edges of it, and you'll also will have 2 small ones. One that goes here, and one that's very in the bottom of this, so you're gonna have to feel that one out. And then you have 7. I'm sorry, I'm lying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the ones in the middle. So try to remember that the big ones go in the middle.
How many in total?
And in total you have 14 screws. So make sure you have 14 screws. 6 of the long ones and 8 of the little ones. As we remove all the screws, now we're going to remove this. It's ready to go. Sometimes you might need to either a flat head or something like this, because it might be really stuck in there. But once it starts like this, you can move it. So this one you might either need 2 hands or another extra person. And also be careful because it will have water in, and you don't want it to go into like the heads or anything like that. So make sure to try to pull it out as much as you can. Make sure that everything is moved out of the way. It's not gonna be in the way for you to remove it once you do. So let's see if I did what I just said. So I was trying to remove this, but it turns out I do have to remove this because there's not gonna be enough play for this to be removed completely. So remove this hose. All right, so this should be, voila, people, voila. Let me bring so now we're gonna clean it. Clean it to a carburetor cleaner. Clean here, clean the little part of the engine as well, and clean where the gaskets are at the moment. And then after that, we will put it back. All right, so here we have the intake manifold, which we have been trying to clean and stuff. It was dirtier than this. Also, it's normally be suggested if you swap out your thermostat, since you already removed this. So basically, this is here. You have these 2 screws, which are 8mm. Obviously, remove them. This comes out, and then your thermostat is here. So the gasket you could get to use is this one, and then this is a thermostat. They have different brands, but the one I use is this one. Check out from Rock Auto. And that's about it. Just obviously when we take this off, try to clean and make sure all the old gasket stuff is off. And just clean properly and put everything back on. All right, so here we have the gasket for the intake. It comes like this, and 2 of these. They go on the side of the heads. And then these little, just extra gaskets go on the edges, one in the front, one in the back. So when you start with this, make sure, even though you put it on, you might notice it goes wrong, but either way, this comes with like a left side on it and a right side. So obviously our right side, and also I'll tell you what part would be front. So in our case, this is the front. That's gonna be the right side. We go here. And just make sure it goes on this little, here on each end you have like little holes for these little, I guess, pins to stick in. Make sure they go in there. This one's in. All right, so once you put the bigger gaskets on left and right side properly, your next ones are gonna be these. This and this one. Luckily, this one goes in the back and this one goes in the front because of the way it's shaped. You'll be able to notice which one goes where and what. So the first thing you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to put sealant on here and the back as well first before you put these. So just run a gasket through it. Gasket sealant. Let's do the back. First, let's put this one on. Do that. Do this. And once that part of the gasket is properly seated on, you're gonna have to put it also here on the edges. Here. And this same process going to be done for the back. So we have applied all the sealant under the small little gaskets on front and back, and also we put on the edges, and we also decided to put some on the top for just to be safe, wouldn't hurt. Now we're going to apply the intake manifold. In this case, I would say if change your thermostat, which we did. We had to show you previously how to do it, and also expect these little plastic connectors here, right here, just 1, 2, and then you have 2 extra ones at the edges. Sometimes those go really bad, and it'll be a good thing to replace them. Ours are fine, but in case you're doing the job and it turns out yours are bad, might as well try to order them ahead of time. And then now we're ready to put this back on and obviously clean it. All right, once you put in the intake, you sit it down on top of the gasket you put. Make sure everything, with your hand through your bag, try to check that the back one didn't move from place or whatever. And once that is done, we'll put on the bolts. So here, if you can see, here's the pattern. You can follow the sequence. So, and then you're gonna have to, this is the lower intake manifold that goes to the cylinder head bolts. First step will be 4 inch-pounds of torque, and then your second step will be 89 inch-pounds of torque. Okay, so once you put all the bolts and torque them as expected, obviously first step is 49 inch-pounds, and then it's about 89 inch-pounds for your second step. And then after that, we are going to put back the hoses. So first hose is going to be this big one here. This is the one that goes to the thermostat. This one probably be the first one you will want to put on before anything. So make sure, because this will give you all the freedom if you don't put the other ones first. And just make sure it hits somewhere like to the 99. Now the next one is going to be this right here. The middle hose that connects to the EGR valve. We'll tighten it later, but obviously don't forget to tighten it. Then the second one will be this hose right here. It goes here. Then you can put in this one. the little one goes in here on top of this one. And obviously then we'll tighten it. And then lastly will be this one right here. This anymore. This one right here. Put this in first because normally it's a little easier. Just stick this here. And voila. And then just tighten them up. Also, don't forget to put this back here before you start putting everything else, because it'd be hard to cut it back. Yep, until you hear it click. And also inspect all your wires. Like for example, just now we had this one come out. So we're always going to be putting it back in. Make sure they're back in there. All right, so now that we have tightened it and put on the hoses, this one, the one that goes to the thermostat, this little one that goes on top of the intake manifold. Now we're gonna put back the fuel injectors. Make sure, you know, they're all sitting correctly in the hole ports. And then once they are, you can start connecting these connectors into the hoses. Into the fuel injectors, my bad. And also put in the screws, which was 4 screws. We have put in the fuel rail. We tightened the 4 screws on it, connected everything, make sure that the fuel pressure regulator has its hose back on it. Now we're ready to put the upper part of the intake, which is this. So, you know, make sure it sits all right once you put it on there. You know, move anything or make any free. All right, so now we're going to screw the intake manifold spacer, which is this one. So here we have, as you can see, that's the order tightening sequence. And so also you'll have normally you could just tighten it, but we're just gonna follow it for the video. You have step 1, 53 inch per pound torque. Step 2, 89 inch pound torque. And also, once you screw all this, also make sure to remember, put this hose goes in here. And then you have this hose that goes from this drum here to here. And then if you come on the other side, you'll have this that we took off previously, connects here. And don't forget to connect the 2 screws, one here and one on the bottom, so they're across from each other. Also put this little bracket back into this here. So screw down here. And then connect this little backing thing. And it has little 2 hoses that connect also in the bottom. I'm sure you can see it there. See that green? It has a red one in the bottom, so they connect to this too as well. And then this hose also connected back into it. And now we're gonna screw everything back on. All right, so we have finished tying up the upper intake manifold, put all the hoses and all the connectors back into it. Now we're ready to put the top one in. And basically, as you get to this state, you're basically done with everything. You'll follow this sequence here. So this is your front. This will be the back, and just follow the sequence to tighten it. This one really I just do it by hand, so there's really no need for torque. You're welcome to look for it up on a line if you want to, but it's not really needed. Then once you tighten up everything, you put in don't forget putting back in your accelerator cable, your throttle body cable. Obviously it'll go in here. And then here, just make sure it's stuck in place. You put in back your air intake. Yeah, might have if you have aftermarket, or if you have the original, then the original you basically put it back on and just connect it. Connect this wire back on. Now then just connect, and then don't forget to connect this, if I'm not mistaken, the idle air controller. I could be wrong on the name. Back on it. And we'll basically be done. And also don't forget to put the coolant. We're going with this. I mean, you can use it, you'll have to add water to it. So basically, the way I do it is, you know, get a measure of a cup. Let's say half a cup. You put half a cup of antifreeze first, and then put half a cup of water in there, and just keep going until it's completely filled. Eventually, once you turn on the car, you'll have to your water's gonna start recirculating, so you'll have to add as needed. And once that's completed, you should be done, and that's pretty much it. Make sure your peacock is locked before you start putting the water in there. Other than that, this basically concludes the video. Hope you liked it. Hope you subscribe, and we'll be adding more content more in the future, and also be on the lookout. This truck is going to be eventually, maybe in the next, we have a video on changing the headers and the whole exhaust system, since we're going to go everything new on it. Also might be putting some flow masters, and eventually later on either painting or wrapping it. So stay tuned. Thanks, and thanks Oscar G.